Hello, everyone. My name is Zoe Dean-Smith. My background is in social entrepreneurship, and I serve as Senior Vice President of Leadership and Social Impact with Vital Voices, a nonprofit founded on the simple idea that nations and communities cannot move forward without women's voices in leadership positions. Since 2008, I've been presenting the Holistic Life Map, a life-changing personal development workshop to multiple audiences around the world. I'm originally from the Kingdom of Eswatini and now live in Denver, Colorado. Outside of work, I'm an emerging author, a dog lover, and an indoor cycling instructor. In our session today, we're going to be talking about mentoring, inspiration, and education for all. And I have three amazing speakers joining me, so I'd like to introduce you to them. Luisa Ferrario describes herself as a six-figure business coach. She empowers women entrepreneurs to activate their mindset, business structure, and leadership skills so that they can hit that six-figure mark faster. She's an entrepreneur, has been for 25 plus years. She's the leader of the Facebook community, Wealthier Women Entrepreneurs. She's 100% made in Italy, and she lives in Europe. Tanja Bogataj is a leadership coach and consultant, founder and CEO of the Power for Change Institute, with 25 years of professional experience in designing, developing, and leading teams and projects. She's an improvement and impact-driven leader, connector, and creator, with a background in law, public policy, management, and leadership, quite a lot in there. Tanja enjoys traveling and meeting new people and places, spending time in nature, especially by the sea, and she loves to dance. Then Carolina, after 27 years in a corporate career heading up Google in Colombia and the Latin America head of digital strategy for Discovery Networks, Carolina decided to follow her soul calling. I can't wait to hear about this. And today she's a freedom mentor, international speaker, and she keeps her influence in the corporate world as a member of the board of some of the biggest companies in Colombia. She wrote the bestseller, Magic Does Exist, and created the #1 program for women leaders who want to follow their purpose, impact lives, and live in freedom and abundance, LIT Women's Club. So I want to start with Tanja this morning, and Tanja, ask you to speak through your thoughts on the difference between mentoring, coaching, and training.
Thank you so much, Zoe, and good day, everyone. So inspiring to be here, and for me, this is one of the way how I learn and train myself on this personal and professional development. And there are many differences between training, coaching, mentoring, but there are also many overlaps, but mainly complementaries. And talking from personal experience, from childhood on with all these three, and now about 25 years of professional experience being on both sides of these relationships, I would today emphasize three differences. One is linked to the relationship between trainee, trainer, mentee, mentor, coachee, coach. The other difference I see is how predictable this process is, how much room is there for creation, co-creation. And then the third difference I see why we use either training, coaching, mentoring, and what we can achieve using that. But before going into explaining what's what, maybe also the invite that we learn these skills anyway, going through life and living. But for the leaders and entrepreneurs, I believe it needs to be more intentional learning and training of all these skills. And I encourage all women to go in both roles, to learn and practice and develop those skills. And we talk about training mainly if we want to train for the job, for certain profession, we want to learn and get good at certain skill for certain projects, certain aim, and maybe to train some habits. And it's quite predictable how we go about it. That's usually very predictable, well tested, proven again and again, procedure, process, step by step. If you follow it, you get better at, and you're skillful at certain things. And the relationship, it's I call it sometimes that it has embedded some inequality, because trainer in this case has the knowledge, has the know-how, how to get there, where the trainee would like to go or needs to go. And in a difference to the coaching and mentoring, where you have more space to co-create and to really build a relationship that sometimes can be very intimate, very vulnerable, but usually it gives the opportunity to find creative ways how to achieve goals. And for the coaching, I like to use one quote from Steve Chandler. He says, when we come to coaching session, we have two brain powers. We have soul power, we have mind power, we have two people working together how to achieve that goal that coachee has. And mainly in coaching, it's really important that we get as accurate as possible where we're currently at, as accurate where we're going, and then identify the gaps, and the coach guides you through provided space, disturbing some status quo, and what needs to happen for this transformation for you to achieve those goals and impact that you go after. And with mentoring, these are often people that been there before us, that they have or achieved something, that they know something that we don't know yet. Often people that open doors for us, create the opportunities for us, share their stories, not just of wins and celebration, but also maybe failures. Some things that they like you to not repeat, or you can learn from their experience. But of course, for all these three, I would call it with Lao Tse quote, when a student is ready, teacher appears. Where student is really ready, teacher disappears. So we can train in well-proven, safe environment, and all these three professions roles provide us that. And then life is bringing also some surprises, but usually those that if you let that space to happen, that creativity, also that magic happens, and our uniqueness comes to forefront. So this is how I would describe these differences, but as you see, there are also many complementaries, and I just encourage said women and men and leaders and entrepreneurs to practice all of them, how to use them best to lead themselves, but mainly to lead others.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I love that. I love the idea about training being predictable, and also the idea that you highlighted about mentors being people who actually open doors. And I think that that's one thing that I love about all the mentors that I've met and worked with in the work that I do at Vital Voices is there is so much power in those opening of doors that happens, and there's always kind of like an informal piece of that relationship. I'd like to move now to Luisa and talk about women leaders and women entrepreneurs, and talk a little bit about the difference, or are everybody's needs the same in terms of targets and needs? So over to you. What are your thoughts on this?
So thank you. And hi, everyone. And thank you, Zoe, for the introduction. And thank you, Tanya, for the very brief but nailed explanation that I totally agree with. So regarding women entrepreneurs and women leaders, I have worked with both of them. I have served leaders in corporations, in big organizations, in Fortune 500 companies for 15 years. And so I am very well acquainted to the needs that typically this kind of audience has, and it is usually very different than the one that an entrepreneur has, because when you are a leader, typically in a company that is not yours, so this is the main distinction that I would like to make here, you always need to be aware of also the needs of others. So there might be people who report to you, or people you report to, or there could be your peers. And so let's say that the complexity of the relationship that they might build with a mentor is there is more complexity when we are mentors of leaders. And I would also say that to build on what Tanya just said, the transformation that we need to bring when we are mentoring a leader is slightly different, because when we open doors for them, those doors might be different. So when I say might be different, I mean that they might be doors that lead them maybe on a higher emotional level, or that might lead them to connect with a broader network than the one that they already have. Or it might be that they connect them to skills that leadership skills they do not have completely developed yet. So we can actually have more possibilities. We can open more doors when we work with leaders in that respect. On the other hand, when we work with women entrepreneurs, let's say that the relationship is more peer-to-peer to some extent. This means that what we really help them with is more of the development of the business, even if developing a business goes through developing ourselves. It is slightly different than developing yourself as a leader of a company that is not yours. So when you are the leader of your own company, so you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, it is even more important to bring yourself, when you are a mentor, to bring yourself with authenticity and with vulnerability and with an open heart. Because this will definitely allow the other person to connect with you on a deeper level. And so you can literally show them what you have already done, and help them to go through the same path and get to the results that they desire to hit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Luisa. I've been writing furiously, crazy notes about what you were saying. I love this idea of the heart-centered leadership, and the idea and the importance of developing yourself as well as you developing the business. Because so many times, certainly with a lot of these social entrepreneurs that I work with, they're so busy, sort of stuck in the weeds of running their business or their organization. They're not thinking about that self-development, which is going to take them to that higher emotional level that you talked about.
Yeah.
I'd like to jump now to Carolina, and I can't wait to hear this story about your personal story and what you've learned along the way in terms of sort of life experiences, best practices. Please share some of that story with us.
Well, my main learning is we have to be who we are, basically, and be loyal to ourselves. I did what is supposed to do. I mean, I work hard, sacrifice, at late night, 14, 16 hours per day. And I did get many things: positions, recognitions, awards, good salary. But one day I felt a big hole here, like an emptiness. I discovered myself driving 11 p.m. after a long journey of working and crying in my car. And when I did the list of the things that I had, I didn't understand why I was crying. I had a car, a house, a husband, a daughter, a job. So I didn't understand what was happening to me. And this night was the beginning of a process in which I discovered myself behind the masks, behind the makeups of different roles. No, I had this character of being the perfect executive, the perfect wife, the perfect mom. I wasn't perfect at all, but I was trying to interpret these roles. And that night, when I discovered the emptiness in my heart, I started a process that happens to bring me two things. On one side, my perfect life disappears. I got divorced, I got broke, and my father died, and I had all sorts of issues with my perfect job. But on the other side, when everything out of this beautiful castle of the perfect life collapsed and disappeared, I found myself. I found that under layers of layers of layers of perfectionism, there was me. a little girl that believed that she was a magician. So when I discovered that, I thought, what if magic really does exist? And I start learning psychology, physics, and many other things. And I start trying what I learned. And all what Luisa does is perfect. I mean, I start working with training my mind. My mom is a neuropsychologist, so I learned a lot with her and many millions of courses. And I realized that magic does exist. So now I teach magic. So I decided finally to overcome my fears, specifically my economic fears, and resign from the corporate world and follow my heart and follow my soul, follow my calling. I discovered that I was born to be a teacher. I didn't know that. I believed all of the other characters I was interpreting. So now that's what I do. I help people to discover what's their soul calling and be able to follow that without the economic fear, without the reputation fear, and without all these fears. So that's why I founded the Elite Women's Club.
That is so amazing, and I love the idea of you talking about teaching magic and actually living without fear. One of my favorite poems is an extract from Marianne Williamson called "Our Deepest Fear." I'm not sure if any of you know it. It's really powerful. So thank you very much for sharing that. I want to go back to you, Tanja, now, and ask you to chat a little bit about why you're committed to this work of inspiring, training, and supporting women leaders.
Well, I'm inspired when I'm in this kind of environment. So really touched now also from what was already shared. Because also 5 years ago, I've completed my career in the government and went into a completely new environment, becoming a soulpreneur and started my coaching profession. And I just believe in coaching. Since I've found out about the coaching, I believe that it's so strong because it empowers people. It creates them independent, and it gives you the opportunity to expand, to create, to find better ways. And this is why I chose it as my profession. Besides leadership, it's on empowerment, on self-leadership, leadership to create a desired impact. And with women, they do so great job. They're so committed in coaching. They achieve way more than they signed up for when they start the 6 months or longer periods of coaching. But when they complete it, they sometimes need more encouragement and reflection from my side as men. They question the past. They question, have I done enough? Should I do more? Is there something that I missed and I should take care of others? And I would just encourage more and more, and this is why I do it professionally, choose bigger goal now. Now you equip yourself for this stage, go from here further on. This is something that I think we can learn from men, at least how I observe coaching both genders. And then I chose more voluntarily to volunteer in mentoring role because I received so much from mentors, either formal or informal on my path. And I just think it's something that I want to give it further when I receive it and I see the opportunity. And again, often empowering women, seeing them either at the beginning of career change, some huge life changes, at the beginning of certain path, not to struggle, not to do it everything from scratch, but maybe learning from my experiences, from my failures, from I already got it, let me do it. So if I can help them in that, and last year's more and more on empowering young women to believe in themselves and how to build up the confidence and being active, learn how to learn from different generations, different experiences, but not wait that they're old enough, experienced enough, getting some kind of permission from the outside, but learn to get that permission for themselves and step into their role, rise up. I call it rise to your purpose, the purpose of your life. And you don't know it with the manual. You just learn by doing it, becoming it. So this is why I'm inspired, and it never ends. So it's just with stories that I receive, with feedback, that it's exchange. I believe this is just the beauty of this profession and purpose, mission, because it just empowers you along the way, and you get new ideas, new creative ideas, how you can help further on.
That's fabulous. Thank you. And I love that question that you talked about there about how so many people ask the question, so many women ask that question, have I done enough? I'm sure that sort of just about every single woman that I've ever met in the work that I do now asks that question on a regular basis. And it's so powerful to be able to share the tools for them to be able to recognize that they have done enough and that they are enough. I'd like to switch gears now and come back to you, Luisa, and ask you to speak a little bit about what you think are the key aspects that need to be considered in mentoring and training programs to make a real difference.
Difference, you mean to be transformative. And so assuming that this is what you mean, I would say that, so first we should consider that, as Tanja was sharing before, mentoring and training, they have overlapping parts, but they are also very different ways of relating to an audience. And so, and also you can have the one-to-one, or you can have the group environment. So this answer could be longer, but I will keep it shorter. But let's keep in mind that there are those first differences that we could we could go one way or the other and have different information to answer this question. So I would say mainly that there are two basic ways of two basic things that we want two basic aspects that we want to consider when we want to make sure that a difference or that a transformation occurs. And one is more practical and more technical, more logistic, and the other one is more related to the mindset and the emotional environment, but also the energy vibration that the person or the group of people have. And I would say that those two is what I call the who and the do. So on the who side, we have the mindset, we have the emotion set, we have the energy set. On the do side, we have all the things related to logistics, as I was saying before, and practical and technical aspects. Also, on the woo side, I would say that we absolutely needed to bring into the relationship an open and direct communication in order to build this relationship based on trust and intimacy. And then we absolutely needed to co-create the relationship with the other person, whether it is mentoring, whether it is training, and also, of course, even more when coaching. We absolutely needed to co-create the relationship, and because this is where the magic, as Carolina would say, happens. Because of course, when we know the need of the other person or the group of people, or when we know the challenges, when we know their pain points, when we know their aspirations and the expectations and the goals and the results that they wish for, then we can agree upon them before starting the program, and then we can tweak the program as long as we go, and in that way we can really make the difference. We can really listen, and not just to the person that we have in front of us or the group of people, but we can also listen to those very subtle aspects of the relationship and of the environment, to be able to read the signs that the environment gives us, and in that way create a program that has a length and that has a format that can actually deliver not just the agreed results, but beyond them, because this is again where the magic really happens. And so yeah, that's my point of view on this subject.
Thank you so much. I love it. Feels like there's a lot of cross collaboration that's going on in terms of how the three of you are approaching this subject of mentoring, coaching, improving the lives of others. I want to go to you now, Carolina, and ask you, what life advice would you give your 18-year-old self? I'm thinking about you sitting in your car, that magic moment when you realized that something had to change. What is the advice that you would share?
I ended up high school at 16. When I was 18, I was already in the middle of my professional career. So don't run, Carolina. Don't run. Live your life now. Don't have your mind always in the future. There will be time. Live today. First advice. Second advice. Magic does exist. What you believed when you were a child, it exists today. Don't think it's a little kid's thing. It's a real thing. You can do whatever you want if you decided to, if you put your soul and your heart on that. So live your life as if you are a magician. And number 3, the last one, I would want to give you, Carolina, 18 Carolina, these words of Wayne Dyer. You have a music that the world deserves to hear. Don't die, Carolina, without showing the music to the world, your music to the world. You came to this world to be you, not someone else. Be who you are and be faithful who you are. So those are my 3 advices for you, 18 Carolina and all the 18 Carolinas in the world.
Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. We have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to invite Luisa and Tanja to share your 2 or 3 pearls of wisdom, similar to what Carolina has just shared with us. When I'm sure you get asked this question a lot by different people, particularly young people, about your amazing career and what your advice would be for them. So, are there 2 or 3 pearls of wisdom that you'd like to share? I'll start with you, Luisa.
Yeah, so the first one is to be intentional. And this means that we needed to make the effort to get to learn ourselves. When we learn ourselves, then we can actually be deliberate and make choices that really match who we are. And in that way, it's impossible to live a life that is not meaningful. So probably this is the best advice that I can share.
Thank you. And Tanja?
I would add to that I believe that we are as free and as powerful as we allow ourselves to be who we are. And for that, as Carolina and also Luisa said, we need to take time and dedication and energy to explore that part. But that the first advice, and I don't give advice just to others, this is something that it's also for myself, to acknowledge already who I am, what I already know, and from that on, being more ambitious, what I really want, and being more specific, what I would like to achieve and where I would like to invest my energy. And third, to have good relationships. And for that only half of that relationship is our responsibility. And both sides need to be willing to contribute to make that work, and to being equipped to take heartfelt decisions. Sometimes mean that you need to continue with someone else is staying where they choose to stay. And sometimes you are staying and the others are moving on because they feel the calling, hear the calling, and we just need to split. And this would be something to be open, what you need to do individually and what's there to be co-created with others and as a collective. And go there, explore there, live fully, but share the life and joy with others that you either inspire or get empowered by.
Thank you so much. I was thinking about my ones. My 3 things would be travel the world, definitely. The second would be, which echoes what you've said already, is be your authentic self. Don't let anybody else tell you what you should be. And the third, being a breast cancer victress, is to take care of your physical self and your emotional self. And if you're in a situation that doesn't serve you, get out of it as quickly as you can. So I would like to thank my fabulous, fabulous speakers today who joined me, Tanja, Luisa, and Carolina, for this incredible conversation. And also thank you very much to Janire for inviting us to join the conversation today.